The video I have for us to watch is actually so appropriate. It is a video that got 700,000 views in one day, and it's called Why Americans Are Going Back to Chili's. Yes, indeed. And it's coincidence this came out one day ago because I think I've been on this tip for months. I think I've been known that Americans are going back to Chili's. In fact, I think I started the wave, much like I invented Sheesh, much like I invented Sigma. Okay? This stream is a pioneer. And then because of that, I knew, trendsetter, Chili's is cool again. Chili's rules. I've been to Chili's since that stream. So we're going to see if CNBC finally realized what I've been known. Chili's versus fast food. Let's see. Sheesh!
Why are people going back to Chili's all of a sudden? I don't get it.
She wouldn't get it. Look at this liberal elitist, okay? Probably on the board of a college, okay? Trying to push the woke mind virus on America's youth. I don't understand that Chili's is for the people. Us regular folk, us Texans. She probably wraps her burgers in lettuce. Am I right? Am I right, my fellow patriots? She probably has a lettuce bun burger.
At locations that have been open for more than a year, Chili's fourth quarter sales increased nearly 15%.
I love when fourth quarter sales increase 14.8%. That's just me. As a marketer, when you get those fourth quarter sales up in double-digit percents, god damn, that's gas.
Compared to the same time period in 2023.
In a segment that is seeing declining traffic and flat sales is a tremendous accomplishment, and I think it speaks.
Worth mentioning, I wonder if I have the stat for you. It's gonna make this, it's gonna add some color here. This is their Restaurant Performance Index, the RPI. Down, dude! Down! First of all, obviously, not a great sign economically, but way down. So for Chili's to be doing well in this environment, incredible. Again, this space right here, analogous to what? Right here, the height of COVID, and right here in 07, 08. This is bad.
While the brand has experienced some internet virality over the past few months, it's...
Thank you. Thank you, CNBC. Thank you. Nature of the game, I guess. Setting the trends of the internet.
The recession hit the restaurant sector hard, especially casual dining, as consumers increasingly opted to eat meals at home. Chili's has shut down stores almost every year since.
And that brand
that's relatively
slowly
flat, though.
Lost its way, often pursuing things that were outside the brand parameters, extending the menu too far, for example.
This is funny. I'm no expert in the restaurant industry, but when you watch like the UK Kitchen Nightmares, the early ones, back when Gordon Ramsay was actually trying to help and they wasn't just doing a show, his advice for every single restaurant was the same. And it was like, simplify your menu, make all your staff do the same thing repeatedly. You know, it's like, it sounds like simple, but it feels like that's the solution every time, is just get something good and do it over and over again and stop trying to clear responsibilities, simple menu. And so it's funny that it works even on a big multinational chain.
Partly because
it makes employees happier because it's easier to handle rushes. Yeah, exactly. With a simplified menu, the employees, they just know one thing drilled in and out. They can do it in their sleep. The ultimate example is In-N-Out Burger, right? Which is like almost extreme on one end of the simplification, but like it works. They can just do that burger well over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so you get good quality for price versus a place that has like a massive ass menu.
Budget and put it into third-party delivery initiatives and even virtual brands to reach the consumer with the kitchens and the assets that they had. Well, those initiatives hurt the on-premise business.
That all changed when CEO Kevin Hochman stepped in 2020.
Kevin Hochman, my GOAT, dude. They're turnaround king.
What's changed? Why are Americans going back to Chili's? What's happening is, one, the actual experience is a whole lot better, but then two, our marketing team's done a great job of getting back into the call the zeitgeist or being relevant again.
We weren't always the top.
That's kind of him to call me the marketing team. I don't consider myself a team, more a hero. Call me a marketing hero.
From the support we get from, our bosses, to the technology, the culinary innovations, all of those things. It made Chili's fun again.
Amen,
Over
brother.
the past 2 fiscal years, Chili's has grown its average.
I think the best part about Chili's is you can go there dead alone, talking to yourself, rambling to your phone, and they will treat you like a decent human being. And they'll feed you, and they'll even give you a dessert for your birthday, even when it's not your birthday. That's the Chili's difference. You know what I'm saying? That's the promise.
In the 2024 fiscal year, Brinker International has invested $200 million in capital expenditure. That means it was investing heavily in repairs, maintenance, and improving its restaurants overall.
That's always a good sign. Doing the shit that doesn't make you profit in the short term but is good for the long term. Repairs and maintenance. No CEO likes to do repairs and maintenance. Nobody likes to do the little things. It's like when you get an engineer that wants to do, rework the code base and go back and clean up old code, try and make everything work. Well, there's nothing flashy in that. You don't get promoted for that, but it's good for everybody else. Those are the heroes, bro.
Hey, yo, Chili's, what?
Part of that is due to recent success with social media.
It would have been so much funnier if the clip there was me doing Wakanda Forever in a Chili's. Would have been 50 times more peak if inexplicably they just have a random white guy doing Wakanda Forever for the culture, but I guess CNBC isn't ready to have that conversation.
This is called the Triple Dipper. Chili's estimates that nearly 40% of its growth this past quarter came from these mozzarella sticks going viral on TikTok.
You cannot tell me that's the most insane cheese pull you've ever seen.
Every time a customer orders that, I'm like,
That's
you saw
crazy,
that TikTok?
actually.
And they're like, yeah. It's hilarious.
Dude, that's like the Dr. Pepper thing, where Dr. Pepper finally passed Pepsi after decades because there was a Dr. Pepper pickle challenge or whatever. TikTok moves the culture. It's crazy. That's why I always say if you're like a young person trying to get into marketing, if you could get even halfway good at understanding that, if you knew a couple case studies like that and like had tried something for a small brand, or you're like in the top 0.1% of in-demand marketers, really, because all the old school ones have no idea. They have no idea how to do that. They don't even know where to begin. TikTok is alien to them.
The chain estimates that the other 60% of sales growth came from its $10.99 Big Smasher.
The Big Smasher!
Meaning it's capitalizing on one of the most important consumer pain points at the current time: value.
He's probably going to mention this, but like we talked about it in the last video, where it's like, when you get to a $10.99 burger like that, you're getting to the point where you're in the same price point as McDonald's for a better deal. And with how disillusioned Americans are becoming with McDonald's, Burger King, et al., it's this huge win where they finally, they trade up. Move over to you.
Brinker spent $14 million more on advertising in its fiscal fourth quarter of 2024 compared to the same time last year. Applebee's has pushed a similar strategy, but with less success. Its same-store sales have been in the negative every quarter over the past year, while Chili's have been in the positive.
I'm a Chili's diehard for the day I die, and if I ever see an Applebee's frog in my life, I'll run over with my car. In fact, if I'm driving down the street and I see someone pulling into an Applebee's, I'll honk loudly. I will lean on the horn until they drive away. All right? Millennials have hated Applebee's since our inception. If you're a millennial, we've been trying to kill Applebee's since day one, and we're going to succeed. I promise you. That'll be our one thing. Once boomers die off and we run this country, there's not going to be an Applebee's left.
As casual dining is marketing itself as an alternative to fast food, even CEO of Darden Restaurants, which owns chains like Olive Garden and Longhorn Steakhouse, said certain casual dining chains are taking customers from fast food competitors. Fast food chains are more exposed to the lower income consumer, who have pulled back with certain discretionary spending. However, when comparing a chain like Chili's to McDonald's, the scale of the companies must be put into context. Last year, Chili's revenue was around $3.5 billion, while McDonald's revenue was over $25 billion.
We mentioned this a couple times, but it is funny to think that like Chili's $3 billion, McDonald's $25 billion, AirPods is like $32 billion. Just AirPods. The scale of how big the top tech companies are is unreal. I just want you guys to know, revenue-wise, AirPods is bigger than McDonald's.
Because the interest rates are higher, the wealth effects are less, the long-term real wage declines all hurt the under 50,000 cohort. And unfortunately for McDonald's, for example, they have to deal with that way more than Chili's. In addition to the fact that Chili's has played much better in the value realm. And in fact, quite astutely, Kevin Hochman and team have marketed to that relative value, even versus fast food.
Did you say McDonald's customers are broke? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you're saying. I mean, same thing's happening right now with Walmart and Dollar General or dollar stores. Dollar General sales are way down, or not way down, but they're declining. And their CEO on the earnings call goes, "Hey, the low-income consumer is struggling. Our low-income consumer is struggling." I was listening to it was a gas station brand, and they were saying, okay, look, our high-end consumer, they're shopping basically the same. Our middle-income consumer, shopping basically the same. Our low-income consumer is shopping a little bit differently. They're still coming to the store, but instead of going to the fridge and picking out a drink, they're buying the 50-cent soda from the fountain. They're being cost conscious. They're just noticing these. And like, if you're at a level where you're haggling over 50 cents on a drink, it's like, that's a sign you're stretched to the limit. So back to Dollar General. Dollar General said the same thing. Consumers, low-income consumers are shopping less. They're down. But Walmart's still having huge sales growth, and it's because Walmart is capturing people who normally weren't Walmart consumers but are going down the stack. Like if you were a Target-only middle-class shopper, you'll be like, I need to be a little more cost-conscious, and you're going to Walmart. That's where they're seeing the growth from. The people that can capture that level are doing really well, and I think Chili's is one of those where it can like be ambidextrous with class.
Full service is not only the traffic conundrum, getting people in the seats, but also then generating margin. And a lot of the higher margin items that are generated by casual dining, alcohol, desserts, appetizers, have been the areas that consumers have cut back on.
At what point does that eat into profit, though? Are you concerned about that as a maybe long-term?
Well, certainly you have to be concerned with that because ultimately we have shareholders and we have a great rate of return. You know, one of the things I'm proud that the team has been able to do.
I kind of want to become a Chili's shareholder. I might do it, dude. I might put a couple bucks towards Chili's. You got to invest where you eat.
We have what's called a barbell strategy. So as long as we have items that we can offer for guests that want something a little bit more versus some guests that just want a hot price point, and we keep that mix in balance, right? We're going to continue to grow profitability.
Here's my first thought. Let me just give you some tips. As a soon-to-be shareholder, this thing right here, put a slot machine on it. That's money. That's money in the bank. I'm thinking slots. I'm thinking some kind of mobile game type thing, all right? A big smasher slot, and you're spinning the burger, and you get 3 burgers, and you get a free meal or whatever, but mostly you lose, and it costs money. That's easy. Chili's egg steak. Anyway, good video. Make the amount you tip a wheel spinner, except odds for anything below 20% is bad. People will be so mad. People will be so mad. It would be funny if you could loot box a meal, right? So let's say a burger costs $10.99 or whatever. You could instead do a $6 spin for a random meal. But like 90% of the time, they just give you 1 order of jalapeno poppers or some shit. But every now and then they go, whoa, big winner, 3 burgers or whatever. That's a good idea.